Nityanandam, how is everyone? I just wanted to share about the life of sannyas and that ego is not needed for enlightenment. So I'm going to kind of start on a series of videos related to the subject of ego is not needed for enlightenment. I think it'll be very helpful for me, and I hope for everyone else, so I can even respond to any of your questions about conscious expansion and the purpose of our existence. So for me, and I think for most people, especially coming from the West, we build up an identity about who we are and our strengths and our weaknesses. Mainly, our identity is built on our strengths and weaknesses. What I can do and what I cannot do. So this is one of the best parts of living with Swamiji as a brahmachari, is he doesn't accept that you cannot do something. So he's the only one who holds the space that you can do anything. Which is what's needed, is for someone to hold the space for us that anything is possible, so you can move towards that. So I think what happens for most of us in the West is we build the identity based on what we can and cannot do, and probably even mostly on what we cannot do. So this thing is called the ego. And then we start kind of taking decisions about our life and what we can and cannot do and how to do it by like enacting the powers of the ego. So the powers of the ego will be like cunningness, maybe a certain amount of intelligence, deception, and kind of luring or like creating false illusions, that kind of stuff, making promises. The ego does that kind of stuff. So no wonder we get into so much stress and difficulty in our work, because there's so much conflict between what we really are and what we're projecting ourselves as, and what we're saying we want to do and what we can do and how we're going to do it. But then what we have to do is we have to engage in the constant cunningness and non-integrity and going against our being and our will in order to execute these things. And so a lot of pain is created inside of us because we're not integrated to what is the true source of us. Like Swamiji is saying, when you take coffee, for example, it'll give you some kind of high. Then whatever decisions you take from that space, you'll not be able to maintain them because they're not coming from your root, from your source. They're coming from that high of the coffee. So then you'll feel like whenever you need to execute something again, you need the coffee again to get back into the high so you can do it. So then you cannot do the work without the coffee. So that in itself becomes a big conflict. So we get in this mode where the ego, the who am I, the what am I in people's eyes, that thing that is false but that has all the promises around it, that conglomeration mostly of lies that is not really connected to my actual source. It's a bunch of ideas about what society thinks I should be, or what I think I should be in society, or what my parents taught me that I should be, or what I understood from them that I should be, or what the school was telling me, or what television is telling me. All these things. Humans live with this thick layer of, there's a change to the brain functioning that has happened in modern humans that is a thick layer of just thoughts. So maybe the physical brain has not changed for so many, who knows how many years, but the functional brain has changed. There's a thick layer of thoughts that separates us from the physical world that previous generations would not have had. There would not have been this bombardment of media and capitalizing, exploiting your lust and your fear and all that kind of stuff, and contaminating our heads and our bodies with the fluorides and the poisons and the plastic in food and all the contaminants, the carcinogens and all that stuff that is making us unable to sit still. So there literally is a change in the way that brains function, human brains function, is that our entire experience is mediated through this thick fog, this thick layer of thoughts and thinking. And so it's largely in that layer of the brain that the ego exists, completely falsified and not in any way connected to the nature of our source and the true expression of our being. So, but we go on living thinking that that's how I achieve things, that's how I do things, that's how I'm successful in relationships, that's how I'm successful in jobs, and that's how I achieve things and make things happen. But if you see, really, when we follow those kind of rules, it's a much smaller idea than what wants to happen. See, life is alive, life is living, and life is expressing. Life has given consciousness has given rise to life. Consciousness has expressed all of these things. All of these things have a source. That source is intelligent. There's an intelligent source of consciousness that is expressing itself in all these different ways. So it is there, and it not in any way feels disconnected from any of existence. The source of all of us does not in any way feel disconnected from us, but we feel very disconnected from our source. So the truth is, we are connected in the space of oneness. So to express from that space of powerfulness of being connected to and being one with the cosmic consciousness that gives rise to everything in existence will mean that we have access to and the ability to express and experience all of the things in existence. So that is a much bigger space than saying, okay, in this meeting we're going to have, I need to have my idea win over this person in the next 45 minutes. That's a much smaller space, an idea of who we are and what's possible and what we're trying to provide, than I'm an expression of the cosmos, the entire cosmos wants to express through me, the entire cosmos wants to manifest itself and celebrate itself through me, and cause more and more people to do the same thing through me. So whatever wants to happen through me, I should allow that thing to happen, because that's only coming from the source of intelligent consciousness that has created and sustained everything that's going on. So really, anytime we bring in ego, it's going to limit that. So, but that's how we're living, is feeling like, I need to do this, I need to do that. And that's where all the stress comes in. Oh my God, I cannot let go of anything. I have to hold on to all these things. My hair is turning gray. So these things will happen. When you try to stop the flow of life, it'll be very dangerous and painful and hurtful for you. When you can get out of the way and allow that stuff to express through you, it becomes a beautiful witnessing possibility. And just standing, allowing yourself to be a portal for what wants to happen, to allow that to happen. So in my experience, that is more towards living free of the ego. We always think the ego is needed so I can get this, so I can do that, so I can manage this, so I can influence that. And that's okay, but whenever we grab onto some small outcome and we grab onto some small piece of us to make that outcome, it's going to be limiting. Mostly we should be stepping back and saying, yes, whatever is the biggest possibility that will involve the most people passionately, and we can cause the most people's realities to reach out to as many people as possible in the best ways possible, that's a much bigger expansion for us and a much bigger identity. So what I feel is we have to get away from feeling that I am doing this and I have to do that and this has to go this way and I want this and this is my plan so it has to happen. But what is life asking from me? And let me get out of the way so that I can do it. Even if I think life is asking me for something, and that me is this construct of silly ideas and limitations, then the me is going to find a really complicated and impossible way to try and do and deliver those things, and feel very pressured and wronged by being asked to do all these things. If you get the me out of the way, then I can do much more. If you get the me, that is this false identity, out of the way, see, there's so much energy that is waiting to express through us. We don't have to decide how it expresses, allow that to express continuously. See, if you have a massive amount of energy flowing, why will it ever become diminished? It will not. It's like if you have that fire hose and the water is gushing out, how will it ever become less? It will not, unless you start to cap it. See, our source is endless. Our source is endless. So much energy is constantly happening in us and giving rise to all these things in existence. So if that fire hydrant is just gushing water, how will it ever become less? It will not. It will only become more. As you open it up, it will only become more and more and more. It will only become less if you limit it more. So that's what I feel is the space we need to be in. We can have the plans and the happenings and direct the intelligence, the consciousness to make things happen and to deliver things, of course. But it should not be, in my experience, it should not be from the space of that I am doing this and oh, it's so difficult and I might not be able to do this. See, the learning is so much that I have done, I have created my life, I have achieved the things because of the things I've done. Really, everything is just a blessing. This day and this moment is a blessing that we didn't even ask for and we were given. The food we're given so many times every day. How many times do we ask for that? And even if we don't ask for it, it's still given. So the life is only providing everything. If we were in charge of running the cosmos, what a disaster it would be. What a disaster. First of all, you could not sleep, or everything would be disastrous at that point. But if our intelligence was responsible for running the cosmos and even the small, even running our own lives, what a disaster it would be if we had to rely on our limited intelligence to run our own lives. So thankfully, there's a bigger intelligence going on. And that bigger intelligence expresses through us and in greater amounts when we remove our incompletions about allowing it to express. So this, I think, is one of the most important things we can do, is find out what it is that's keeping us from allowing the super consciousness to express, and find more and more ways to look towards that source and sit inside that source and allow that source to express. It's not that anything smaller is going to happen, only bigger things are going to happen, and it's more cosmic energy, intelligence expresses through us, then it's only going to grow. It's not that we're going to have less energy. When you connect to more energy and express more energy, you have more energy. So we'll have only more energy. It's the feeling small and tight that makes us feel we need coffee and other stimulants and we cannot do things, and we get caught in the mental game of picking small points when we can really engage a lot more people when we open up to a higher consciousness. So I want to continue with this series because I think it's really important for a lot of people. I have to admit it's very important to me right now, how we need to learn to live without the reliance on our ego of who I think I am and how I think I got here based on who I think I am and what I think I did to get here and how my life is dependent on me. I think we really need to get out of that. That's my experience. It's only been limiting to me once I've started living a more spiritually focused life with Swamiji, that whenever I think I'm doing something, it just creates a lot of tension and stress in me. And then if an opportunity comes along, I'll gauge my ability to engage with that based on how much other things I feel I have to do. So I end up saying no to new opportunities, which I don't think at all is what life wants for me. So I really want to transform myself into someone who is mostly open to new things happening and allowing those things to happen. And for me, it means that I have to drop the idea of what I can and cannot do. So I'm going to find out ways to do that. I'm going to share it with all of you. So thank you very much for this opportunity here, and please post any comments, questions, anything else in the comments section, I guess is where it goes. And I'm going to learn how to make better YouTube channels and all that stuff too. So thank you very much, and most of all, thank you, Swamiji. Nityanandam.